Hey everybody, this is Alzorath, and welcome back to Diablo 2. Today we're doing another build video with the kind of back to basics theme we had with the multi-shot Amazon. We are also going to be having with a few other classes. We're going to be doing a Trap Assassin, which we've already recorded the Bale kill on, and we will be doing a few others in addition to that. This is being recorded live on Twitch. I probably won't be deviating too much for conversation until afterwards, but it's there. If you guys do want to watch these being recorded live, do definitely check out the Twitch channel down below. But we are also killing a bunch of Diablo. I mean, not Diablo, Bale. I'm going to call him 12 different names. I never call them by the right name. I don't know why. I'm not drunk. I'm just stupid. But anyway, we're going in here. This is your basic Zealot. We do actually have Smite as backup for dealing with bosses. I did not do that in the Bale fight that you'll be seeing in the background on YouTube. Just because we're doing a Zealot. Zealot is the basic thing. You're not going to have enough points to invest in Zeal to not invest in something else. I phrased that horribly. You're going to have too many points to do a Zealot. There we go. Because you're going to only have like 3 skills you can really dump into before there's nothing else to add to Zeal. So you have other things you can build. So we went with Smite on the side, because Smite is a really good one to have for if you're going to be hunting the, like, Ubers or anything like that. It's very powerful. And we kind of choose our gear somewhat around that, and also because it's just a go-to that's relatively easy. But anyway, starting out with stats. We have enough dexterity for maximum block with Holy Shield. Well, close enough to maximum block. Enough strength just to equip all of our stuff, which, it's fine. And then we have the rest into Vitality. You may notice he only has about 1,000 life. That is one reason why we ended up throwing the Call to Arms on him, just to give him that nice little bit of extra life. We do actually have decent enough resistances to work with what we have. Would like them higher. You can get them higher with charms. You can get them higher with a few other things. You can socket an into your helmet if you want to. Currently, I actually have an increased attack speed jewel in here because this is the one I'm transferring around today. It's fine. So yeah, you can boost your resistances through a few methods. But that's your basic stats, just same as usual, enough strength for gear. This is going to be in the heat of battle, so we're going to want the dexterity up for block. Same thing we did with the Blessed Hammer Paladin. You may notice that sometimes I don't go for max block. That is one of those decisions you have to make. This build kind of needs it because you are going to be in the thick of it, and he's not durable enough usually to tank through that wall leeching life with kind of like mediocre damage. You may notice our current build has relatively low damage. It just hits really fast. So I go for max block with this one. Other ones like some barbarian builds and stuff like that, you don't want it because you don't want to get reaction locked. That's the mentality there. If you guys are ever like wondering why I sometimes suggest enough for max block and sometimes not. Also, if you're ranged, you shouldn't need max block either, unless you're doing PvP. But you always dump everything extra into life. You should almost... There's very few builds. There's a few. But almost every build should have 0 put into energy. That's where you are. Even with like crap gear, you can usually get enough energy to kind of... enough mana to do anything you want to do. So next up, we have the tree. Defensive auras. I have 1 value point in salvation. This is just in case. Like if I'm fighting gloams or something like that and I need that last little bit of resistances, or if I'm lower resisted, this is just a value point. We can flip over to that instead of fanaticism and let it kind of protect all our dudes, protect ourselves, that kind of stuff. You don't necessarily have to put a point in this if your resists are high enough. I have it here because mine are not max. So yeah, it's 1 point. We get plus skills on it. It's fine. Next up, we have our offensive skills. This one should be pretty obvious. You just go straight down until you get to fanaticism and max it out. That's your Zealot. That's the only thing you should be putting into on your physical damage Zealot. If you're doing a Tesladin, conviction is an argument, but we're not. So, Zeal. Fanaticism. Do it. It's fine. Your allies will like you too because it increases their attack speed. It is worth noting that it does say party damage and your damage. There is a difference in how much damage boost you get, whether you are the one with the fanaticism or whenever you are the one being affected by somebody else's fanaticism. Keep this in mind if you are playing with other paladins. If your fanaticism is lower than... if your fanaticism is higher than theirs, you're actually going to be overriding their fanaticism and lowering their damage. if you both are running fanaticism. One of you should be running concentration, even if it's just base level concentration. The other one should be running fanaticism. Don't overlap auras unless it's got a specific purpose. That's just word of advice for anyone playing multiplayer, because there's some people who have been mentioning, hey, you should do some multiplayer builds. That is start of advice for that, so yay. And it would be fun to do party builds, but need to get more people on that. You may notice a lot of points invested into the combat skills tree, because we're a Zealot. Obviously, max Zeal. You may notice Sacrifice is not maxed out because we're not high damage. We're just kind of like supported with it. So this was the last one that I started putting points into. I actually got max out Holy Shield. It went Zealot, Zeal, Fanaticism were the two that I did first. That's 40 points right there, woo. And then we did max Holy Shield and then moved it over into Smite. And then last but not least is Sacrifice. Sacrifice is going to give you enhanced damage. If you're using a different weapon than what I'm using in here, like one that has a higher internal damage as opposed to Grief, which has an external damage addition, you want to be going with Sacrifice. So high base damage weapons do actually benefit more from you pumping up Sacrifice for your Zeal. But we're using a Grief, which I'll explain the physics of Grief right now, because that's where we're at in the recording. So go ahead and close that, go ahead and open inventory, and this is where we're at. We're going to look at Grief at first. Now, Grief is an interesting beast. A lot of confusion happens over Grief. I even was miseducated about Grief for a long time, but you notice that it's got 31 to 35 damage, but it's also got that damage plus 398 in the middle of its description. That is more like elemental damage. It's physical damage still, but it's treated more like weapon has 5 to 30 fire damage. This has plus 398 physical damage outside of the weapon, if that makes sense. So basically, it's kind of like an elemental damage added to it. That's the best way I can explain it. There's a few items like this. They're very uncommon. This is just one of those little outside cases like that. So obviously, if you have plus percent, like if you're using Vengeance with this, it's not going to work with it because that's not base weapon damage. You're not going to get the percent elemental damage from it because Vengeance is going to work off the base weapon damage. So do keep that in mind. That's just how it works. It has increased attack speed, ignore target defense, which lets you hit more often. It does cast Venom on striking every now and then, which gives you enhanced damage. It's fine. 2-second poison, which frankly isn't going to matter too much, but it does keep things from healing. Works well with bleed as well, because you can actually have bleed and poison going at the same time. Minus enemy poison resist helps out with that as well. Deadly strike lets you do double damage randomly, which is lovely. And life after each kill is nice. Mana after each kill is usually enough to recover from your Zealing as well. So you don't even necessarily need leech, but it is recommended to actually have some mana leech just in case. So that is good there. We don't have a lot of elemental damage on this, so you are prone to physical immunes. Next up, we have the gloves. Only reason I have these on here is because Smiter's Justice, I guess. You could go with some blood gloves or with Venom Grasp or Venom Grip or whatever it's called, the 5% crushing blow gloves to increase your chance of crushing blow. That would be very powerful. Currently, we're using Exile, so this is a little bit redundant. I just happened to just put it on there because I couldn't, my brain was not comprehending at the moment what I should put on here. There's a lot of options. You could get the gloves that cause Firestorm to be cast whenever you hit, which would be kind of hilarious looking, and it lets you know that you are just causing all kinds of trouble for people's frame rates. This also has 10% life leech, which is nice. The life tap is good because you're doing a lot of physical damage. It also works well with Smite. We're using an Exile on this. If you don't have an Exile, this is your only source of life tap on striking, so it's a good source of it. And since we have two sources of it, we kind of just can have multiple chances of casting life tap, which unfortunately does override our Mercenaries Decrepify, but it works. So that is an okay thing. Also, 10 more life after kill. Next up, we have the cliche Ravenfrost. Woo, we all know what that does. It's extra attack rating, dexterity, and cannot be frozen. The other stats are just icing on the cake. Next up, we have our lovely dual leech ring. I gambled so much money for this, and it's my favorite ring. I'm gonna admit to it. It's my favorite rare ring I have. But yeah, it's there. It's got 2 resists. It would be greater if it had resist all, but that's okay. As far as the amulet, we just had this sitting on here from doing the Blessed Hammer Paladin. It's fine. If we were using an Enigma, it would help. With the teleporting, we're not using an Enigma. We're using Chains of Honor for resists, but if you wanted to, you could do that. But better options than this, possibly a blood amulet with similar stats, +2 paladin skills, life leech, maybe some mana leech on it, and resist would be really good. Yes, you can get that on a blood amulet. You could get it on various other things as well. You could do Mara's. We don't need more attack speed on this. We have enough with like what we've got. It's not straining for attack speed thanks to fanaticism. But we're just using this because it was there and it's convenient. Mara's would be a little bit better just because it has more resists on it. Like I said, blood amulet would probably be the best with some leech. Next up, we have the Vampire Gaze with 15% increased attack speed, which doesn't do anything for this guy. We probably should just go for the increased, either the Bear Vampire Gaze that I have or the increased damage one that I have. But this one's all resistances +12, which is the reason I put it on here, to help with resist 2. Next up, we have the Chains of Honor. Oh, yes! It gives us life leech, and it gives us some boosted damage to demon and undead, +2 skills. Replenish life. Most importantly, though, all resistance is 65% and 8% damage reduction. Woo! Yeah! And down here in the String of Ears, we have 8% life leech and more damage reduction, which is very helpful too. So those both are working pretty good. This is all working really good at reducing the physical damage we take. And over here we have Gore Riders, which gives us a little bit of Crushing Blow. You do want Crushing Blow on this. You could do Goblin Toes as well if you really wanted to. For a little bit of extra Crushing Blow, it'd be 1 in 4 instead of... Yeah, if you have Crushing Blow gloves, it'd be 1 in 5 with Gore Riders. So, yeah, you get Crushing Blow enough with a Zealot that this will work fine. If you're really going heavy on the Crushing Blow, you'd get Guillaume's Face instead of that, and Crushing Blow gloves, and have Crushing Blow on there and have a really solid chance of Crushing Blow. And last but not least is the Exile Zakarum Shield. We do have other options. If you really want to, you can actually go for a Herald of Zakarum, which is going to be a lot easier to get a hold of, a lot cheaper, and it's almost as good. It's really solid, and you can put an rune in it for relatively cheap and have just a really solid shield there. If you're playing online, trading for it is fine. It's going to be a relatively cheap shield to get, because a lot of people, they prefer Exile because Smite, and it's a lot better for farming. Whereas this is just a good all-around shield to have. Pretty much any Paladin build you can make can use this effectively, which is good. So yeah, he's just there. But this is really expensive shield to make because Vex, Ist, all 3 really sought-after runes, really expensive. And that's... Honestly, I'd say is more sought after than Vex, but both are really, really, really sought after. Ist, a little bit less by those who are seasoned veterans in the game, because they understand that, hey, Magic Find is nice, but you don't need like millions of it to actually do stuff. I need to do a Magic Find tutorial on that. But this also has a chance to cast Life Tap on Striking, has Defiance Aura, which is the reason why we have... Well, actually, we don't have our Holy Shield up anymore. Ha! 13,000 defense. With all that up. Defiance is not something I'd invest points in, but I'm not going to complain about having it. +2 Fanaticism on here because of the offensive aura boost. You also have better block rate, which does help. Lets you block faster, and one of the other reasons why going max block is not so bad. It's got decent smite damage because we're using a Zakarum shield, and it has enhanced damage on it as well. The Zakarum shield is one of the better choices in my opinion, and we do need to repair this as well. Oh wait, we can't repair this. It's ethereal. Yeah. Oh no, this one's not ethereal. Yeah, we have an ethereal one floating around. We don't have... It's not an Exile though. It had enhanced resistances. My brain farted just then. But yeah, this is a non-ethereal one. You can make an ethereal one with a massive amount of defense, and it can be a lot stronger. I just got tired of hunting for it, and I'd rather have the enhanced damage than the extra defense. This does have increased attack rating. It freezes target. It's just good. And it increases your maximum resistance to fire and cold. Yay, we have 1 of those up to max. But it's just strong. And that's about all of it for the equipment, so I guess we just show it off now. Oh, we've been rambling, haven't we? So let's go ahead, trade repair. I wonder why it's stuck there. Oh, never mind. Durability 65 of 65. I was looking at the wrong number. But anyway, let's go ahead and go into the Frigid Highlands, and we'll show this guy off. Obviously, he can get down to Bale really, really easily. Really. I don't know what was with my accent just then. but we can get down to him super easily. But whenever we get into groups like this, it's literally you just swing in every single circle. Mercenary, yeah, Mercenary is just sad. And we just beat through things really, really easily. It doesn't look like it should do a lot of damage, but it does, because of how fast it attacks and the various things kind of on there. With the Might Aura, it helps out as well, because we've got an offensive Mercenary there. He's using Reaper's Toll, he's using Andariel's Visage and Fortitude, just because that's what I had on him already. And for the most part, we don't really have a lot to fear. Obviously, things that we can't leech from are going to be a little bit more of a pain, but we can still take them out relatively quickly unless they're physical immune. And that's usually the thing you want to avoid, is just ghosts. And yeah, the life tap helps us out a great deal, even dealing with these guys, because guess what? Now we can leech from them because they have life tap on them. We can't leech mana, but we can leech life. Life tap is one of those things where it bypasses the resistance to life leech, which is something that skeletons and stuff like that have, where you can't leech life of them unless you have life tap. And also, life tap is essential if you're playing a smiter, because smite can't leech on its own no matter what you're hitting, whereas life tap, since you're doing physical damage, it's sucking that life into you based on the physical damage rather than the delivery method of that damage. So smite works really well with life tap. So anyway, that is the end of that episode for those of you on YouTube. We have successfully murdered the world with the Zealot Paladin. This build can go pretty much anywhere. It's strong. Just watch out for physical immunes. Let your Mercenary get some Decrepify on them. Yes, your life tap will override it, but usually you can kill off the physical immune before the Decrepify gets overwritten. There we go. I can say past tense. But if you're on YouTube watching this, keep gaming, have fun, peace out. This has been Alzorath, and I will see you guys next time. And for those of you on Twitch, we will be continuing on. So keep gaming, have fun, peace out. This has been Alzorath.